You might want to check the ground beef in your fridge or freezer now. The Department of Agriculture is warning some 1-pound packages of organic rancher ground beef could be contaminated with E. coli.
Most people in the UK think they know what is in their mince. They do not. 9 of the most popular beef mince brands on British supermarket shelves are not giving you what the packet suggests. Some hide it behind Union Jack branding. Some hide it behind premium pricing. Some hide it in plain sight, in grey packaging nobody ever thinks twice about. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which 9 to put back on the shelf, and the 3 that are actually worth your money. Stay with us, because the brand most British families trust most is the one that should concern you most. We are starting there. Brand 1 Tesco own label beef mince, a Monday night bolognese, a Friday shepherd's pie, the mince that built 1 million British weeknight dinners. Tesco own label beef mince sits in more fridges than any other product in this video. It feels safe, it feels obvious, it feels like the sensible choice. That feeling is doing a lot of work. In 2022, the Food Standards Agency conducted spot checks across major UK supermarket own-brand mince lines. What they found was not fraud, exactly. It was something quieter and more deliberate. Fat content declarations sitting at the very edge of permitted, tolerancing water retention levels, inflating pack weight without inflating nutritional value. Meat content percentages that were technically legal and practically misleading. Flip that bag right now, find the fat percentage on the back, then ask yourself what that number actually means under UK labelling law. You are allowed to be confused. The rules were written to allow it. The beef itself carries 0 farm-level traceability. You know the country of origin because the law requires that much. You know nothing else. Tesco sells over £1 billion of own-brand products annually. Volume at that scale does not reward quality control, it rewards consistency. Those are not the same thing. Open the packet before it hits the pan. Look at the colour. That grey-pink tone before cooking is not what quality beef looks like. Watch how much liquid releases in the first 2 minutes of heat. That water was in the price you paid. For parents cooking this 3 or 4 nights a week, the fat and water content you think you are managing is not the fat and water content actually on your plate. A national staple, quietly telling you less than you deserve to know. The next brand charges you more and tells you even less about why. Brand 2, Marks & Spencer, finest beef mince. The packaging is beautiful, that deep green. The word finest in elegant type. The quiet suggestion that you have made an excellent decision. Marks & Spencer built one of the most powerful food reputations in British retail. Decades of quality association. Generations of shoppers who trust the label before they read it. That trust is not accidental. It was constructed carefully over a very long time. And it is being spent. The finest range positions itself as a cut above. It charges accordingly. A 500-gram pack costs nearly twice what a comparable Aldi pack costs per kilo. The assumption embedded in that price is that you are getting something meaningfully superior. Here is what the label does not tell you. Lean percentage claims on premium mince are self-reported by the producer. The Food Standards Agency does not independently verify every batch. Third-party auditing exists, but it is periodic, not continuous. The word finest is a brand descriptor. It is not a regulated nutritional claim. Pick up that pack right now. Find one piece of third-party certification on the front. Take your time. There is not one. In 2023, Consumer Group, which tested premium supermarket mince lines against their stated fat content. Several samples across UK premium ranges showed fat levels measurably higher than label declarations. Marks & Spencer were not alone in this. They were not exempt from it either. For anyone tracking protein intake and managing fat ratios, that gap between stated and actual content is not cosmetic. It changes the nutritional equation. Every meal, every week, beautiful packaging deserves what is inside it to match. Right now, it does not always. The next brand has been in British homes since before most of its current customers were born. That history is the problem. Brand 3, Bird's Eye, Beef Mince, frozen. A brand your parents trusted. Possibly your grandparents too. The Bird's Eye name has been in British freezers since 1955. That orange logo carries decades of quiet authority. It also carries something else. In 2018, Bird's Eye's parent company Nomad Foods completed a series of acquisition and cost restructuring moves across its European supply chain. Procurement was centralized, sourcing flexibility increased, the products kept their familiar names and packaging, the contents became harder to trace. By 2020, consumer advocates began flagging something specific about Bird's Eye's frozen mince lines. Phosphate additives used to retain moisture during freezing and reheating were present in concentrations that home cooks would not reasonably expect in a straightforward beef product. These are not illegal. They are not even unusual in frozen meat processing. That is rather the point. Go to your freezer right now. Pull out the Bird's Eye mince if it is in there. Read the full ingredients list. Count how many entries sit below the word beef. Real beef mince has one ingredient, country of origin on Bird's Eye. Frozen mince products has shifted across multiple markets in the past 5 years. UK origin beef is not guaranteed. The label tells you the minimum the law requires. Nothing more. Frozen mince carries a structural disadvantage anyway. Freezing changes cell structure. Water releases on thawing. That water was part of the weight you paid for at the checkout. For shoppers who have trusted this brand across 4 decades of family cooking, the product in the freezer today is not the product they first trusted. The name stayed, the recipe did not. Familiarity is not the same as reliability. It just feels that way until you check. The next brand wears a Union Jack and uses it to tell you almost nothing. Brand 4, Asda Smart Price Beef Mince, under £2 for 500 grams, right there on the shelf. No unnecessary packaging, no inflated promises, just affordable beef mince for families managing a real budget in a genuinely difficult economy. The price is not the problem, the price is the cover. In 2021, trading standards officers across 3 English county councils conducted routine checks on budget supermarket mince lines. Asda Smart Price appeared in several sample groups. Fat content in tested samples ran consistently toward the upper boundary of the declared range. Water content released during cooking averaged higher than mid-tier equivalent products from the same supermarkets. None of this is illegal. It is permitted within current FSA labeling tolerances. Those tolerances were not written with the consumer's interest at the center. Press that packet before you open it. Feel how much give there is. Beef mince with low water content is firm and dense. Budget mince with retained water moves differently under your fingers. That difference does not appear on the label. The country of origin on Asda Smart Price Mince is listed as UK, EU or non-EU depending on availability. That phrase is doing an enormous amount of work. It means the contents of the packet you are holding could have originated almost anywhere. You will not know which. For families on fixed incomes buying this every single week, the calories, protein and fat they think they are eating are approximations at best. Budgeting carefully around nutrition that is itself imprecise is not a fair position to be in. The price is real, everything else is variable. Next. A brand that sells you a flag and then quietly reads you the small print. Brand 5, Morrison Signature. British Beef Mince, a Union Jack, bold and prominent, right there on the front of the packet. the word British in large type, the word signature just above it. The quiet implication that you are buying something verified, something local, something you can feel good about. Now, read the small print. Under current UK food labelling law, beef can be legally labelled British if the animal was slaughtered in the United Kingdom. Where it was born does not have to appear on the label. Where it was reared for the majority of its life does not have to appear either. The flag tells you the final step in a long journey. Nothing before that is your business. Trading standards have raised concerns about Union Jack labelling practices across multiple UK supermarket lines since the post-Brexit regulatory reset of 2021. The gap between consumer expectation and legal definition is not an accident, it is a feature. Find that Morrison's packet right now, turn it over, read every line of the origin information. Then ask yourself whether you actually know where that animal spent its life. You do not. The label was not designed to tell you. Morrison's signature positioning implies provenance. Premium provenance implies premium welfare standards. That chain of implication is built entirely on a flag and a font choice. For shoppers who specifically seek out British beef to support UK farmers and UK animal welfare standards, this labelling gap is a direct betrayal of that intention. The farmer they think they are supporting may not be British at all. A flag is not a guarantee, it is a design decision. Design decisions are considerably cheaper than genuine supply chain transparency. Not sure what British on a label actually guarantees? Subscribe before the next packet goes in your trolley. The next brand promises you convenience. Count what it puts in to deliver it. Brand 6. Sainsbury's Taste the Difference. Beef Mince Meal Kit. 20 minutes. That is the promise on the front. Dinner sorted, stress removed, a proper meal without the planning. The Taste the Difference meal kit range sits at the premium end of convenience. It costs more than loose mince. It is packaged with intention. The photography on the box is genuinely excellent. What is inside requires closer attention. Pull that box out of your fridge right now, turn it over. Read the full ingredients panel on the mince component. Specifically, count every entry that is not beef. Take your time, there are several. Flavor enhancers appear in the mince blend across multiple kit variants. Yeast extract, partially hydrolyzed vegetable protein. These compensate for flavor loss in pre-seasoned, pre-portioned mince, sitting in modified atmosphere packaging for up to 12 days. The beef is not doing all the flavor work. Chemistry is helping. The legal definition of beef mince has more room in it than most shoppers realize. Connective tissue ratios can sit within that definition without prominent declaration on the label. The meat content percentage across Sainsbury's meal kit mince variants averages lower than equivalent loose mince from the same supermarket. You are paying a premium price for a smaller proportion of the thing you came for. For parents feeding children 4 weeknights out of 5 on convenient kit meals, the additives and reduced meat content are not a one-off, they are a weekly accumulation. Convenient for the shelf life, less convenient for what ends up on the plate. The next brand sells you a certification. Read what that certification actually covers. Brand 7, Waitrose Duchy Organic Beef. Mince Organic, the word that is supposed to end the conversation. Duchy Organic is the brand founded on Prince Charles's farming principles, ethical, sustainable, rooted in genuine land stewardship. The name carries a kind of moral authority no marketing budget could simply invent, which makes what follows particularly uncomfortable. The Soil Association certification on Duchy products guarantees specific standards: feed, antibiotic use, land management. It does not guarantee a named farm. It does not guarantee a fixed supply chain. It does not guarantee that the beef in your specific packet came from the kind of small, careful British operation the packaging quietly implies. Organic certification is audited periodically. not continuously. The gap between audits is where variability lives. In 2022, a broader analysis of European organic beef supply chains reached a straightforward conclusion. Certified organic status and verified provenance are two entirely separate things. Shoppers routinely assume they are the same. They are not. Open that Dutchie packet right now. Find the farm name. Find the specific county of origin. Find anything that tells you exactly where that animal came from. You will find a certification logo. That is not the same thing. Dutchie organic mince costs roughly double the price of standard own-brand mince in most Waitrose locations. What that premium guarantees in practical terms is considerably narrower than the packaging implies. For health-conscious shoppers paying double, specifically to avoid supply chain opacity, the uncomfortable truth is this: you have paid more for a better class of opacity. The badge is legitimate. The full story behind it is not on the label. Certification tells you what was checked, not everything that was not. One brand left, the one nobody ever thinks to question. Brand 8, Joe Wicks, the body coach, beef mince. The face is everywhere, the energy is undeniable, the brand is built on a simple idea. Eat well, move more, feel better. Joe Wicks has sold that idea with more conviction than almost anyone else in British wellness culture. The beef mince range that carries his name deserves the same scrutiny he applies to everything else. It does not entirely hold up. The Body Coach beef mince, available in selected Tesco and Asda locations, is produced under license. Joe Wicks does not source the beef. He does not oversee the supply chain. A licensing arrangement means his name and image appear on a product developed and managed by a third-party food manufacturer, operating to standard commercial margins. Pick up that packet right now. Find the name of the actual producer on the back. It is there in small type because the law requires it. The name you are buying is on the front. The name making the product is on the back. Fat content declarations across Body Coach mince variants have been noted by independent nutrition analysts as sitting toward the higher end of what is consistent with the lean, protein-forward messaging of the brand. Not illegally high, just inconsistent with the image being sold alongside it. For anyone building their diet around the Body Coach methodology and trusting that the branded mince matches the nutritional philosophy, that is a reasonable assumption. It is not a guaranteed one. The face on the packet is a license agreement, not a quality standard. Worth knowing what else fitness branding is not telling you about your weekly shop? Subscribe and we will keep checking. One more, the one you have never once looked at properly. That is exactly why it is on this list. Brand 9, Sainsbury's Basics Beef Mince. No claims, no flags, no celebrity, no certification badge, just a white packet, a plain font, a price that does not ask you to think too hard. Sainsbury's Basics Beef Mince is the invisible product on the British supermarket shelf. It does not ask for your trust. It sits there quietly week after week, going into trolleys on autopilot. Nobody scrutinizes the unremarkable. That is precisely the problem. The Basics range exists to serve one commercial function: margin recovery at the lowest price point. The beef is sourced through Sainsbury's broadest and most flexible procurement contracts. Country of origin is listed as UK, EU or non-EU, all three, simultaneously on the same label, because the contents of next week's packet may not come from the same place as this week's. That is not a supply chain, that is a placeholder. In 2023, the Food Standards Agency published updated guidance on own-brand budget meat labelling following a series of spot checks across major UK supermarkets. Several budget lines, structurally identical to the Basics format, were found to carry fat content at the uppermost edge of their declared tolerances. Water retention levels were flagged as inconsistent across batches from the same product line. Pick up that white packet right now. Look at it properly, possibly for the first time. Read every line on the back. Ask yourself how many of those lines tell you something specific and verifiable. Count them. For low-income families relying on this as a primary weekly protein source, batching consistency is not an abstract concern. The nutritional content they are budgeting around is shifting beneath them, without any indication on the label that it has moved at all. The most dangerous product is not the one making bold claims, it is the one making none, because nobody thinks to check the thing that never promised them anything. Plain packaging, invisible scrutiny, entirely deliberate. You have just looked at it properly for the first time. Remember what you saw. Go check your cupboard right now, not later. Now, if you have seen your brand on this list, the next one you buy can be different. That is the only decision that matters at this point. 9 brands, 9 different versions of the same basic problem. Opacity dressed as convenience. Labeling law used as a shield rather than a communication tool. The system is not broken. It was built this way because vagueness is cheaper than transparency. This is not about panic. It is about information you are always entitled to have. The good news is straightforward. Real beef, Mince, exists. Properly sourced, honestly labeled, third-party verified beef mince is on British shelves right now. You do not need to spend a fortune. You do not need to become a food scientist. You just need to know which 3 brands are still doing this honestly. Here they are. Safe. Pick one. Turner and George Butcher's mince. No supermarket, no licensing deal, no flexible procurement contract. Turner and George is a London-based independent butcher with a direct retail operation that ships nationally. Their beef mince is named by cut, named by farm, named by county. That is where the difference begins, and it does not stop there. Every batch lists the specific British farm of origin, not a region, not a country, a named farm with a verified supply relationship. The cattle are grass-fed British breeds. The mince is made from named cuts, predominantly chuck and brisket, with a declared fat ratio measured per batch, rather than estimated per range. Look at their product page right now. Find the farm name, find the breed, find the cut breakdown. It is all there, because they are not trying to hide anything. The price reflects reality. Around £9 per 500 grams, depending on the cut blend. That is not a casual purchase. It is an honest one. You are paying for the actual cost of doing this properly, rather than the artificially low cost of doing it vaguely. For families who want to know precisely what their children are eating, this is the answer. Not an approximation, not a labeling tolerance, a named animal from a named place. Transparency is not a marketing strategy here. It is simply how the business operates. That is rarer than it should be. Safe pick 2, Swaledale Butchers Beef Mince, the Yorkshire Dales. One of the most carefully managed beef rearing landscapes in Britain. Swaledale Butchers sources exclusively from farms within a defined geographic radius. The supply chain is not flexible. It is not subject to procurement swings based on commodity pricing. The farmers are known by name. The relationships are long-term and contractual in both directions. Their beef mince carries full breed transparency, native British breeds only, predominantly shorthorn and Dexter cattle, both known for flavour density and fat distribution that commodity supermarket beef cannot replicate at volume. Open a packet and the difference is visible before it reaches the pan. The colour is deeper, the fat is distributed evenly rather than sitting in a pale separate mass. Press it gently. The texture is firm and consistent. No excess water releasing under light pressure. Cook it and watch the first 2 minutes. Minimal liquid release. The mince holds its structure. The fat renders rather than evaporating. That is what properly raised, properly processed beef does in heat. For older shoppers who remember when supermarket mince tasted meaningfully different from what it tastes like now, this is not nostalgia. This is what the product should have remained. Swaledale is available online with nationwide delivery. The price sits at around £8 to £10 per 500 grams. Full provenance, verified welfare standards, genuinely superior cooking performance. A fair exchange, real beef, real farmers, a supply chain short enough to actually understand. Safe. Pick 3 Daylesford organic beef mince. Certified organic means different things from different producers. From Daylesford means something specific. Daylesford Organic operates its own farm in Gloucestershire. The beef mince sold under their label comes from cattle raised on that farm and associated verified partner farms within a tightly controlled network. The Soil Association certification is not a badge applied to an opaque supply chain. It reflects practices Daylesford controls directly. The cattle are 100% pasture-fed, no routine antibiotics, no concentrate feed supplements. The mince is produced in Daylesford's own processing facility. Fewer hands, fewer variables, fewer opportunities for the kind of quiet substitution that wider supply chains make easy. Find the Daylesford product page or visit one of their farm shops right now. Read the sourcing information. It is specific, detailed, and verifiable in a way that Dutchy Organic, despite its premium positioning, does not currently match. The price is the highest on this list, around £12 to £14 per 500 grams. That warrants honesty. You are paying for a closed supply chain, verified organic pasture management, and a processing operation the producer actually controls end-to-end. For health-conscious shoppers who have been paying organic prices elsewhere and wondering whether the premium is real, here it is. This is what the premium is supposed to buy, not a badge, a practice. 9 brands that sell you something other than what the packaging implies, 3 that do not. The gap between those two groups is not entirely about price. It is about whether the producer believes you deserve to know where your food came from. Most do not act like you do. The 3 on this list behave differently. That difference is worth something. British beef mince goes into weeknight dinners, school-packed lunches, Sunday pies, children's first proper meals. It is ordinary in the best possible sense, which is exactly why it deserves more honesty than the industry currently gives it. You now know more about what is in that packet than the vast majority of people who will buy mince in a British supermarket this weekend. Use it. Check the label differently from now on. Look for the farm name, look for the cut, look for the producer behind the brand name, not just the brand name itself. Ask what the country of origin declaration is actually telling you and what it is carefully leaving out. The information was always available. It was just arranged to make it easy not to look. Now you know where to look. Want to know what else your supermarket is quietly leaving off the label? Subscribe and we will keep reading the small print.